Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all well. So we're well into January of 2018 and you might have seen some of the videos I was doing last year with Boss towards the back end of the year. Those being the Katana Mini and the Katana 50. And hopefully you've seen a video of the really cool Katana Air which has just come out, which my good friend Pete did the video for. It's a very cool, wireless, completely wireless guitar amplifier. And now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce this amazing amplifier sat to my left. That is the Katana Artist. I'm not sure if this video is going to be coming out before or after the official Boss video. I think it's afterwards, so if you've seen that you'll have noticed that me, Dave and Ben of Toska wrote a little track for the release of the amplifier. It was a lot of fun. We did that down at Air Studios in London. So this is kind of a follow-on video from that, where we're going to just have a look at the Katana Artist in a bit more detail. So if you don't know anything about this amplifier, it is a updated, I suppose, aimed at the professional gigging musician version of the Katana. So in a lot of ways it features the same sort of stuff. However, they've updated things like the tones, the kind of sort of in-house tones of the guitar amplifier itself, but also it comes with a couple of extra new features that are really awesome. Firstly, we've got a semi-open back cabinet, so you're going to get a lot more warmth and resonance from the amplifier itself. Secondly, and this is quite a cool one, is that the speaker loaded into the Katana Artist is actually a Waza speaker. They've spent a long time voicing this, and it's a really high-end sounding speaker. So when you're using this live or on recording, you should notice that you're getting some very nice tones, and it's worth saying that speakers are really important to the sound of your guitar. So I'm happy about that. I'm currently miking this up with the Aston Spirit, so we should be getting some tasty sounds from this beautiful amplifier. In terms of the tones that you can get from the amplifier itself, of course you've got a similar layout to the other Katana amplifiers in the fact that you have an acoustic sim, you've got a clean, a crunch, a lead and a brown channel. You've got volume and gain, then you've got your 3-band EQ, then you've got your effects area, just like on the other Katana amplifiers. So you've got your booster and your modulation, you've got your delay and your effects, and then you've got your reverb. And then we move over to the sort of master side of the amplifier. As you can see, we've got presence, we've got master volume, you've got your power settings, so you can have it sort of standby or power off, just use the line out. You can have this at 0.5 watts, 50 watts or 100 watts. So it's really loud, and I can vouch for that because when we did the video at Air Studios, we had it in a live room and I cranked it and it is really loud. So that's good. And then also we've got a couple of extra features which I'm really happy with. Firstly, we've got cabinet resonance, which of course, as you can imagine, it affects the resonance of the combo itself. So you can have vintage, modern, and then deep. So you can get a lot of different sort of low-end response from the cabinet itself. And then on the far right, you can see we've got the Lineout Air Feel, which is quite a cool feature. And it's essentially, if you're using the recording out of this amplifier, straight direct out of the amplifier itself, you can change the way it sort of feels to play. So you can have live recording, and you can also have a blend of the two. So that is really cool. It's nice that they've paid attention to those things, because a lot of times you can have a great guitar sound but the feel of it doesn't quite reach your requirements, and therefore you can struggle a bit to get the performance you want. Well, with features like this, it means you can kind of mess around and see what feels comfortable. So I'm really excited about that. Like the other Katana amplifiers, it also features a USB out, so you can plug it into your computer and use the editor, just like the Katana, and you can go ahead and change the different stomp boxes that you want on tap, or the effects. There's over 50 different Boss effects loaded into the amplifier, and you can go ahead and customize those how you want. If you want more of a detailed overview of the editor software, I'll put a link in the description box below for my Katana 50 video where I go into detail on that. But it works in exactly the same way. Another very cool feature about the Katana Artist is now it comes with an effects loop, but it also features a foot switch that you can get as an optional addition, and essentially what it allows you to do is have 4 different channels, but then you've got 2 different banks. So in essence, you have 8 channels that you can control with your feet, and it allows you to do things like you can have clean with effects or no effects, then crunch, same lead, and so on and so forth. So it's aimed at the live gigging touring musician, and I think that's really cool because it does definitely give you a little bit more tonal flexibility, and it means using the Librarian editor and the foot switch, you can go ahead and essentially just get endless amounts of tones without any external effects, without any external switching or anything like that. You can do it all inside the box, which I find just innovative. I think it's really cool, and Boss are killing it at the moment. So without further ado, I want to show you through the tones of the amplifier. So we're going to go through all the different sounds. I'm miking this up, as I said, with the Aston Spirits, going into my Universal Audio Apollo 8P interface, and we'll be using a range of guitar, basically my signature guitars with split coil tones, humbucker tones, so on and so forth. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so I've got my guitar, and what I wanted to do really quickly was just breeze over the functionality of the front panel, as it's slightly different from the other Katana amplifiers. Firstly, you've got your amp type, which is the same, so you can, it's like on a little notched kind of knob that moves between the different amp voices. You've got gain and volume, bass, middle and treble, and we get to the effects section. And the way that the Boss have done this on these amplifiers is that, so for example, under booster and modulation, as an example, up to 12 o'clock is your sort of booster setting, so that would be the amount of gain, and then beyond 12 o'clock it becomes modulation, and it works in the same way, so it starts at minimum all the way to maximum. You've got that for booster and modulation, and the same thing for delay and effects, whereas reverb is one full dial for the amount of wet that you want. Along the top you've got 3 little LED buttons, and what they do is you've got green, amber and red, and they change the different type of effect. So if, let's say, you're using reverb, you could have spring on the green LED, you could have like Hall on the amber, and then you could have something else on the red as well, and it works the same principle across the 3 different controls. And then we move over to the sort of master side of the amplifier, and as you can see along the top you've got bank channels 1, 2, 3 and 4. Those are presets, so if you find a sound that you want and then you want to save that to channel 1, you can press and hold channel 1 and it will flash and it will save you settings, and it's the same process across the board. And you can also do that with your foot switch as well. If you've got the foot switch, you just press and hold the button and it would save it to whichever channel that you wanted to save to. And that's it. That's basically how it works. So let's get straight into it, and let me show you some of the tonage, starting with the acoustic setting. So obviously I really like it using an electric guitar. The idea is that you plug an acoustic into it and use that. But I like the way that it sounds with an electric guitar. It's a little bit more sort of piezo kind of style, and I quite like that. And of course, you can throw on loads of effects and stuff like that on top. And with the gain on the acoustic setting, it's kind of doesn't necessarily add gain, it just gives you a little bit more dynamic response. So with the gain quite low, obviously it's quieter. If I start cranking it to sort of 3/4, it's really nice and warm, and I enjoy that. Let's move across to clean. I'm going to drop the gain to halfway and let's just have a little listen. it's a nice clean sound. I think whilst we're on this clean sound, if I go to my neck pickup, just going to get rid of the effects for 1 second, because what I want to demonstrate is the cab resonance. So let's push the cab resonance to vintage, and then modern, and then deep. You might not be able to hear that over the microphone on YouTube, but in the room it's definitely filling the room more and more as you sort of turn that cab resonance up. It's a response thing, and again, at certain venues you might find that your guitar sounds a little bit thin, so you could then crank up the cab resonance a bit and see where it sort of feels right for you. So it's a useful feature for sure. So anyway, what I want to do now is mess around with the gain on the clean sound and see if we can get anything a bit more pokey. So it's a cool sound, and again, this is the clean channel, so you know you can get a little bit of a bite from it, which I think is quite cool. This is a bare knuckle crawler, so it's not mega output, but it definitely pokes a bit. And if I was to push the boost in, blues driver, push in a bit more. Again, this is the clean channel, so by throwing in a bit of blues driver, cranking the gain on full, you can actually get quite a dirty clean. And I like the fact that it feels ampy. It feels kind of, the response of it's quite valvy, quite vibey. So I'm enjoying it. Anyway, let's push the gain back down and let's move across to the crunch. That's the gain quite low as well. If I push it up. So I'm hearing it push some air in this room. It's quite loud, and I hope I'm not annoying my neighbours, but it's definitely worth having it loud, you know what I mean? I've got it on the 50 watt setting, but of course it goes up to 100 watts, so it can be really loud. But I wanted it to be loud enough that it was pushing some air. So anyway, if I keep cranking the gain a bit, you'll hear it in its full gain territory on the crunch channel. Kind of a thick, almost kind of an American kind of sounding gain to me. It's smoother, it's got a sizzle on the top, and it definitely kicks. So yeah, feeling it, feeling it. Let's move across to lead now, and let's drop the gain back down to just under halfway. Okay, for me, just to point out, the way they've kind of updated the amp tones, it feels way more ampy. Now, I really enjoyed the Katana as it was, but whatever they've done to kind of update that is really, really paying off, because you can really feel it, and it's in the pick response, it's in the kind of response of the guitar and the amplifier together. But yeah, it's impressing me. So I'm going to push the gain up a little bit more. Bit more gain. The feel and response. It's about that feel and response, and you're getting that with that kind of, again, with the leady thing. You can feel it. You feel the notes you're playing, and it reacts in a way that just feels kind of natural. So yeah, nailing it, boss. Nailing it. For the sake of it, let's just push the gain all the way up, see what we get. So we've just done lead, and again it's great for playing lead on. But we all know there's another setting called brown, which is, I believe it's supposed to be something to do with Eddie Van Halen's sort of brown sound, Variax, power soak sort of thing. It's just extra gain, but it can get pretty filthy. So let's have a listen. I've taken the gain back down. This is lead, and I'm going to switch it over to brown so you can hear the additional gain. I'm loving it. So before I carry on, just keep going and noodling for hours and hours, I'm gonna just go over to a down-tuned guitar so you can hear how it handles lower tunings. At this point, I just want to say that, you know, I'd seen quite a few comments about how the Katana works really well with the cleans, but it always lacked on the overdrives and the distortions and stuff. But, you know, I not necessarily disagreed, but at the same time, you know, like, the thing with transistor amplifiers is sometimes, you know, there are things they do really well, and at the same time there are things that they sort of lack in. Honestly, this isn't lacking for me. I'm sat in the room, it sounds great. I really hope it sounds good to you guys, but it's not lacking. Anyway, down tune it. It definitely down tunes and chugs, and that was on the lead channel. It feels nice and powerful, and it's got that grunty mid-range that I like. And again, to be fair, and I'm going to point this out, the controls are pretty much 12 o'clock on the EQ. And, you know, a wise man once said that you can tell the sound of a well-voiced amplifier by the fact the EQ is at 12 o'clock. Irrespective of valve or transistor, that's cool. And there's no booster involved either. That's literally just the gain on the lead channel. And it's kicking, and it's filling the room with a lot of low end. So hopefully it's coming across well. At this point, I'll show you a couple of the effects and a couple of the ambient tones and things like that. But we've gone over all the tones generally speaking, so colour me impressed. Okay, so at the risk of, noodling for hours and hours, it's fair to say that the Katana Artist is a really impressive addition to the Katana range. For all those guys that are wanting to gig and they're wanting to keep everything in one box, whether it be all your effects, the functionality, the different tones, this is a great option because, of course, you've got the foot switch as well, which is an additional purchase if you want to use that. It's got an expression pedal out, so you can even add an expression pedal and mess around with the controls of the effects. But also you've got 4 channels, 2 banks, so you can access 8 different channels on the fly whilst you're gigging, which is more than enough in terms of different sounds for one song for most bands. And I think it's fair to say that the sound quality of it is really, really, really good. And it's 100 watts, so you can crank it. It's really loud. You've got control over the resonance of the cabinet. The speaker's good. It's a semi-open back, so you're getting that powerful sound. I can't really fault it, to be fair, but I couldn't really fault the other Katana amplifiers. And obviously this is a sponsored video, but I don't have to say if something's really, really, really bad or really, really, really good. But my honest opinion is that this is a great amplifier. It's a great amplifier. And you could use this across the board, whether you're a sort of small-time gigging musician, you're a hobbyist, or you're a full-time gigging musician. It sounds great. It sounds great in the room. I really hope it sounds good over the internet with its YouTube compression effect. But what more can I say? I think if you want to check this out, I'll put the links in the description box below. You can go have a look, check them out. They're at Anderton's. Pick one up and see for yourself. See what you think. But my honest opinion of this is Boss are killing it again. They're killing it with the Katana, and this is the Katana Artist. Once again, hats off. Anyway, let me know what you think. Description box for all the links. Comment section for all your opinions. And I will see you all very soon.